Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something fascinating. It's part novel, part manifesto, almost like a historical snapshot. Reginald Wright Kaufman's The Spider's Web from 1913.
Yeah, it's quite a piece.
We've gathered the sources, the text itself, some critical takes to unpack this story. It's about, well, staggering wealth, political rot, and one man's fight against what the author called compulsion.
Exactly. And that's key. We're not just looking at, a typical crime story here. Kaufman believed the system itself created what he called the great crime.
Right.
So our focus is really on this tragic figure, Luke Huber, and how this system just dismantles him.
So our mission today is really to get under the skin of this idea. Kaufman's pretty bleak premise, actually, that the biggest crime is just imposing your will on someone else.
Superimposing one human being's will upon any others. That's his phrase.
Yeah. And we'll see how this compulsion, financial, legal, political, whatever, brings down Luke Huber, this initially very hopeful young prosecutor in New York.
He thought he could fix things.
He really did. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first off, you have to get inside Kaufman's head. This wasn't like light reading he was writing. He had an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
He explicitly said he cared more about conviction of truth than fancy writing. Art for art's sake. He wanted to shake people up, convert them.
So less about literary awards, more about impact.
Totally. He straight up said his goal was attacking the chief present means of such imposition or compulsion, which he saw as the pressure of our economic system.
Okay, so the enemy isn't a person, it's the economy or the structure.
The structure, yeah. The economic system itself, the powerful people, they're just tools, really effective ones, but tools nonetheless.
And this great crime is the core of it, compulsion.
That's his thesis, the imposition of will. He wrote a whole cycle of novels about it. House of Bondage looked at forced prostitution, very direct economic pressure.
Oh, I remember that one.
Then Sentence of Silence, that was about withholding sex education, compulsion through ignorance, basically. But The Spider's Web goes right to the top. Finance, law, the big leagues of compulsion.
But here's something interesting. The source mentions this irony.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating.
Kaufman points out that the very people involved in the stuff he attacked before, like the prostitution trade,
Yeah.
they actually liked his books.
Yeah. It suggests they didn't even see themselves as part of the problem, right? They thought they were just, operating within the system. They weren't consciously malicious about the systemic disease.
Just cogs in the machine, not the designers.
Exactly. Which is the perfect setup for Luke Huber. He shows up from Pennsylvania, described as without the original sin of superstition, total idealist.
The clean slate.
Completely. He moves to New York specifically to help the DA, Layton, restore the ideals of the Constitution's framers. He actually believes in it.
He starts out with such high hopes. Believes honest leaders, good laws. That's all it takes. He even gives his own father grief for, dealing with bad lots, taking money from the rich.
Yeah, his moral lines are just crystal clear. Black and white.
But New York, it's not quite like that, is it?
No, not at all. He takes this walk, right, Sunday, through the East Side, and boom, corruption, just out in the open.
Like what?
Saloons serving liquor on Sunday, back rooms wide open, police just standing there, totally indifferent. The law is clearly just optional if you pay.
He's seeing it's not an absolute.
And the real kicker, he gets schooled by a homeless guy, a bum.
Seriously?
Yeah, the bum explains it perfectly. The mayor, the DA, they need to get elected. Protection money. That's just the cost of doing business. It's baked in.
So the outcast sees the system more clearly than the idealist prosecutor.
Because he's outside it, he sees the transaction. The first crime Luke really witnesses isn't some violent act. It's this quiet, systemic compromise, the law being bought and sold.
It's the everyday stuff.
Yeah, the dull, constant grind of it. You see the street-level threads of the web right there. And that corruption, it depends entirely on the guys upstairs not caring.
So before he even gets near the big players, he's already seeing the foundation is cracked. The tools are already compromised.
His idealism is taking hits from day one.
Okay, so we've seen the street level stuff. Now let's talk about the architects.
Yeah.
The guys pulling the strings from way up high.
Right, the triumvirate. The sources lay them out. This unnamed richest man in America, the big man.
Says the big man.
Yeah, or sometimes the money editor. Then there's George J. Hallett and L. Bergen Rivington. These three are the power core.
And how they made their money is important, you said.
Crucial. They weren't builders or inventors. They made wealth by editing money and combinations of money. Think speculation, mergers, manipulating stock, financial
They're
abstraction.
not actually making anything tangible.
Exactly. And that abstract power makes their influence feel, well, everywhere. Luke keeps stumbling over their names. They funded a college, a cancer hospital.
That hospital detail stuck with me, the crazy prices for treatments. $52,000 a grain for mesothorium, $64,000 for radium.
Yeah, the author puts that in for a reason, I think. It highlights the immense cost of their visible charity.
Ah, so it's like, look how much good they do. Don't ask where the money came from.
Precisely. It buys them moral cover. Perfect insulation. Giving with one hand.
While controlling everything with the other. And this extends to their social lives, too.
Oh, definitely. Luke goes to this fancy dance hosted by a Mrs. Ruesdale. It's all flashing colors, women hugging each other so tightly, dancing the sensuous music of a one-step. Total escapism.
And the big shots are there.
Hallett and Rivington, yeah. But they're subtle. They don't need to be flashy. Their power is just assumed. Even the old money families, like the Ruesdales, they just let agents manage their estates. They don't want to know where the money originates.
Willful blindness.
Completely. But the real action, the place where the compulsion is engineered, that's the hidden office on Wall Street.
The spider's lair, as the title suggests.
Pretty much. The description is telling. They break traffic laws, getting their small thing, but shows they're above the rules. 6 bowing attendants let them into these private rooms. It's like a temple to money.
And inside, what happens there?
It's chillingly casual. They're telling their secretary, Rollins, oh, give $10,000 to the hospital. Then next minute, arrange breakfast at the White House.
Wow.
But the real scary part is the business decisions. Hallett just casually suggests they should smash a railroad.
Smash it. Why?
Because, and this is the quote, they're being bullied by a handful of dummies, and they already own all the stock worth owning.
So, just because they're annoyed, destroy a whole railroad.
Yeah, it's a minor inconvenience to them, solved with financial violence. It shows their detachment. The source describes the main guy looking out the window.
Yeah.
And seeing the people on the street below like threads leading in every direction, the people themselves like entangled flies.
Flies in their web.
Exactly. Trapped, insignificant, easy to sweep aside. That's their perspective from the top.
Okay, that abstract idea of smashing a railroad.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't stay abstract for long, does it?
No. It becomes horrifyingly real. This is the event that changes everything for Luke Huber, the North Bridge wreck.
Set the scene for us. What was this railway?
It was the M&N, the Manhattan, and Niagara. Not some major line. It served the new suburbs. Clerks, small business owners commuting in.
The flies.
Precisely. And the sources make it clear. This wasn't just bad luck. There was a history of negligence. Terrible service, old secondhand trains, the cheapest possible rails. They even bought ties from an abandoned line.
They were cutting corners everywhere.
Deliberately, cost-saving above all. And there had already been one serious wreck before this one.
So they knew there were problems.
They absolutely should have. And then, catastrophe. A packed commuter train goes right through a bridge over an uptown street. 25 killed, 100 injured.
Just awful.
And the cause?
Initial evidence pointed straight at negligence. The bridge was too light for the load, and a rail had literally flattened under the train. And Luke immediately connects the dots. The M&N was controlled by that same financial group. Hallett, Rivington, the big man. Okay, so this is where it shifts. Luke suspects, but now he needs proof.
And he gets it. This is the crucial turning point. Rollins, the secretary from the Wall Street office. Remember him?
Yeah, the one taking dictation about hospitals and railroads.
He secretly delivers 2 letters to Luke. Maybe his conscience finally kicked in, maybe desperation, who knows. But he hands Luke the smoking gun.
What did the letter say?
The key one is from the big man himself to someone named Robert Dohan. It confirms the secret deal between him, Hallett, and Rivington to unload their shares in the railroad at the end of 5 years.
Unload, so sell off their stake after 5 years.
Right. Maximize profit, then get out. But here's the killer part. The letter explicitly mentions that the construction department's own estimate and a letter from the steel rail manufacturer suggested the cheap grade of rails they chose might not wear well.
Wait, so they knew. They had written warnings the rails were potentially dangerous.
Yes, documented proof. They knew the risk, but the 5-year exit strategy, the profit, came first. That's the great crime right there on paper. Their financial will imposed directly onto those 25 dead commuters.
That's staggering. So Luke takes this bombshell to his boss, D.A. Layton, expecting immediate action.
Exactly. He thinks, okay, we got him. Manslaughter at least. But Layton's reaction, it's devastating for Luke.
What does Layton do?
His eyes shone, the text says. Not with anger, but with opportunity. Political opportunity.
Oh, no.
He sees the letter purely as leverage, a tool to guarantee his own re-election.
Not as evidence of a crime.
Not primarily. His plan isn't justice, it's politics. He wants to threaten to release the letters to get the triumvirate's political backing, then push for future regulations. He gets to be the hero who cleaned up the city without actually prosecuting the powerful people responsible for the deaths.
He wants to use it for moral suasion, not prosecution.
Exactly. And that's when Luke's last illusions concerning Leighton fall. It just shatters his faith in the system.
He must have argued with him.
Oh, fiercely. Luke says these men are murderers, felons, they need to be charged. But Leighton's the pragmatist. He knows prosecuting the triumvirate is political and financial suicide. He even says if he just gives the letters back, he'll be totally in their power.
So either way, the system protects them.
That's what Luke realizes. He can't fight this from inside. The legal system itself is compromised. It's incapable of touching the real power.
Okay, so Luke sees the legal path is blocked. Leighton won't act. What does he do? He has this damning evidence.
He goes on the offensive. Almost recklessly, you could say. He walks right into that Wall Street office, the heart of the beast.
Confronts them directly.
Yep. Demands they tear up every mile of rails on the M&N and replace those pieces of scrap iron with rails of a grade fit to bear the traffic. Basically admit guilt and fix it. Now.
Which they're obviously not going to do.
Not a chance. And Luke knows it. He immediately drops the other shoe. He's resigning from Leighton's office. And, the big one, he's accepted the nomination for DA from the Reform Municipal League.
He's running against Leighton, against the system.
He's declaring all-out war. Hallett just kind of sneers, reminds him who got Leighton elected in the first place. And Luke's response is perfect. It was because I found out who elected him that I resigned the job.
Wow. So the battle lines are drawn. How does the web react?
They activate their defense system, not Hallett directly, but their fixer, Judge Stein.
Judge Stein, what's his deal?
Oh, he's a piece of work.
Yeah.
The source calls him a former hospital runner judge. Meaning he used to chase ambulances, basically, getting accident victims to sign away their claims for cheap settlements. Now he's the triumvirate's smooth operator.
Charming. So he tries to negotiate.
Yeah, the soft approach first. Offers Luke everything. Future political power, social standing, money. Just drop it. Be reasonable.
Play the game.
Right. Stein argues the letters aren't even legally admissible, a classic lawyer tactic, and says replacing the rails now, that would be a public confession of guilt. They can't allow that.
Trying to co-opt him. Yeah. But Luke's not buying it.
No way. So Stein shifts gears, the veiled threat. He casually mentions, a dozen guys who tried something similar ended up as political corpses or bankrupt. And then he adds, even more chillingly, he heard some just disappeared.
Okay, so threats aren't subtle anymore.
Not at all. Hallett basically confirms it later. Stein needs to frighten him by something else, and something else is a full-scale financial and personal attack.
How do they orchestrate that?
It's methodical. Stein gets Luke's financial info from a credit agency, finds out he's heavily invested $100,000 in a clothing company, Forbes & Son.
His main asset, presumably.
Seems like it. Then Stein calls the president of a major bank, East County National, tells him to call in a huge $250,000 loan Forbes has, immediately.
Just like that. What's the excuse?
The official reason. Luke's wild speeches against the triumvirate are attacking credit, making the market unstable. It's completely manufactured.
They're using the fear of financial instability, which they control, to crush Luke personally through his business associate.
Exactly. Destroy his allies to force him to back down. Classic compulsion. And it gets dirtier.
How so?
They try to frame him. Stein coordinates with a corrupt cop, Patrolman Guff, and a local gang leader, Reddy Ron.
Gang leaders. Wall Street and gang leaders working together.
That's the web. High and low, all connected. They set up this clumsy sting. A woman pretends to need rescuing from an apartment, tries to lure Luke inside.
While the cops wait to raid the place and arrest him on morals charges.
Bingo! Destroy his reputation, kill his campaign. It shows they'll use anything, from bank presence to street thugs.
Does it work?
No, Luke smells the trap. It's too obvious, too clumsy, he escapes. But the message is clear. They will stop at nothing.
And meanwhile, what's happening politically?
He's being totally isolated. Leighton makes his deal, gives Hallett the name of Rollins, the secretary who leaked the letters.
No, the whistleblower.
Yep. Rollins gets thrown under the bus, arrested and jailed on some trumped-up yards about misusing postage stamps. The system eats its own when necessary.
Just devastating.
And the election becomes a sham. The Republicans nominate Layton, naturally. The Democrats and progressives put up deliberately weak candidates just to make sure Layton wins against Luke and the Reform League.
They're actively working together to maintain the status quo.
Absolutely. And the media plays its part. Luke gives these speeches exposing the whole rotten system, the letters, everything.
And the headlines.
Total character assassination, nightmares of a candidate. Or, even better, candidate preaches private war with fire and sword. They bury the facts under hysteria and ridicule.
So the truth never really gets out.
Nope. Lost in the noise. The web is tightening from every conceivable angle.
Okay, so the frame-up failed, but the pressure is still immense.
Yeah.
What happens with the financial attack on Forbes and Son?
It hits hard. Forbes confirms to Luke, that $250,000 loan was called. And worse, other banks, Lexington National, Clement & Co., they all refused to renew it too. He's blacklisted.
The triumvirate's reach is that long.
Absolutely. Luke is literally watching his friend's business and his own investment get destroyed simply to silence him. But they aren't done.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. They finalized this massive ready-made clothing trust, a huge corporation specifically designed to crush independent companies like Forbes and Son.
How does the trust do that?
By controlling the market. They can dictate terms to retailers, who they buy from, prices, everything. And here's the really nasty part.
Go on.
They strategically raise wages in their factories, in other areas.
Raise wages. That sounds good.
It sounds good, but the motive is purely destructive. By raising wages elsewhere, they make it impossible for Forbes to compete. His workers will demand the same pay, which he can't afford, especially with the bank squeezing him.
So they're using social responsibility as a weapon to force him into insolvency.
Precisely. Compulsion through impossible market conditions. And it gets even more personal for Luke. He finds out his mother's income property, the building generating their family's living money, is suddenly right in the path of new elevated L-tracks. And guess who's backing the L-tracks expansion?
Let me guess. Hallett.
Bingo! The property value plummets. It's destined to become worthless tenements. They're cutting off his roots, his family security, every support structure.
Wow. Just relentless.
And the final turn of the screw involves the workers Luke is supposedly fighting for. Remember the M&N victim?
Yeah, the clerks, the ordinary people.
Well, now the workers at Forbes and Son, feeling the pressure, maybe egged on by some IWW agitators, the source mentions, they go on strike.
Why?
They demand wages matching the new trust, the very wages the trust raised specifically to destabilize Forbes.
Oh, the irony is brutal. He's fighting the system that killed workers, but his fight is now potentially ruining the livelihoods of these workers.
It's an impossible position. The system forces these no-win scenarios. Forbes himself actually begs Luke to just knuckle under, stop the campaign, save the business.
Put his friend in an awful spot.
Terrible. But then you get this small moment of defiance. Forbes' daughter, Jetty, she's Luke's ally, maybe love interest.
Yeah.
She tells her father, no, Luke's right, and I'm with him. Even as everything is collapsing, she holds on to the moral principle.
A small light in the darkness, but the darkness keeps spreading. Right. The church.
Oh, yes. The final institutional betrayal. The unnamed financier, the big man, he dies. Luke goes to the funeral, St. Athanasius Church. Betty's clergyman, Reverend Pinckney Nicholson, is giving the eulogy, and it's a total whitewash, praising the dead financier's rags to riches story, his charity, his sublime faith, ignoring the fact that this man's decisions led to dozens dead on the M&N.
Just glossing over the source of the wealth and its consequences.
Completely. But then comes the twist. Nicholson reveals the financier's last act on his deathbed.
What was it?
Signing a check. A check to pay off the entire remaining debt of St. Athanasius Church.
Whoa. Buying salvation almost literally.
Or buying the church's silence.
Yeah.
Their moral complicity.
Yeah.
That's how Luke sees it. He is absolutely furious.
He realizes they've all been bought.
Everyone. The law, politics, and now the church. He sees them all as just tools. Tools in the hands of compulsion, founded on lies, sinned against the light. He feels they exist only to make people feel small before God, small before the law, which really means small before the powerful men who control the law.
This is his breaking point, isn't it? His complete disillusionment.
It's more than disillusionment. It's like a conversion, but in reverse. An anti-conversion to the brutal reality of the system. The last pillars of his idealism have crumbled.
So Luke has this shattering realization out on the street. He finally sees the whole picture, the web.
Yeah, he gets it. A web that no spider wove is the phrase, meaning it's bigger than the individuals like Hallett or Rivington. It's a system that killed spiders as well as flies. It sustains itself. He understands he's completely alone against it.
But does this clarity help him politically? What about the Reform League campaign?
It's way too late for that. He actually tries to resign quietly from the League, but they won't let him.
Why not?
They want to distance themselves publicly. They force a vote to dismiss him, making him look like a sore loser, a cornered bully screaming about corruption as they kick him out. Politically, he's finished. Morally isolated, even by the reformers.
So no allies left. What happens next?
Right.
Things are already chaotic.
It explodes. The strike at the Forbes factory, the financial pressure, it boils over into a full-blown violent riot.
And Luke is there.
Right in the middle of it. Trying to do something, anything. Then Betty Forbes arrives in the family car, right into the chaos.
Oh, no.
Luke leaps in to try and save her from the mob. It's pure mayhem.
Where's the National Guard? The police?
The guard is there, but the captain, Facciolati, is described as quite drunk. He panics, doesn't want to start a bigger conflict, maybe gets confusing orders, who knows. But he tells his men to shoot high, just fire into the air.
Which does nothing to stop the riot.
Worse than nothing, it probably emboldens the mob. Luke actually confronts the drunken captain. Eventually, the police charge from behind and break it up, but the damage is done. Authority failed completely.
And Luke, after witnessing all this,
Yeah.
the violence, the system, failing at every level,
He has one last profound realization. Watching the mob, he understands that his whole life, even his fight against the triumvirate, was based on the same principle: compulsion.
how so?
He realizes that benefiting from the labor of others, even as a supposedly honest employer like Forbes, or himself indirectly, it was compulsion. Living off others' work, imposing his will in a way. He sees the great crime everywhere, even within himself.
It's incredibly bleak.
It is. He concludes the only real freedom is power over oneself, to be beholden to nothing and no one. He decides that's how he'll fight the web now, as one completely free, detached individual.
Ready to abandon everything.
Everything. But the web isn't done with him. It needs the ultimate insurance. A man walks into the now quiet factory office where Luke is. Short, thick guy. Likely an assassin from that gangster Reddy Ron's crew, Krabertella's gang as mentioned.
What does he want?
He demands the letters. Even now, after all the violence and chaos, the primary concern of the web is controlling the narrative, destroying the proof of their specific crime.
And Luke?
Luke refuses. He's shot. But his final moments are defiant, absolutely furious. He curses everything: the system, politics, law, government, even God.
A total rejection.
Total. And then, bizarrely, he starts singing the first line of that old song, "Hallelujah, I'm a bum," before he collapses and dies.
Embracing the ultimate outsider status and death. But the letters.
Yeah.
Did the assassin get them?
And here's the final crushing victory for the web. No. The assassin didn't get them. But Luke had taken off his coat during the riot chaos outside, and the letters were in the pocket.
So they're lost.
Yeah.
Just lost in the street.
Lost, never recovered, never made public. The definitive evidence of the triumvirate's mass murder disappears. Compulsion wins, utterly.
And the system just rolls on.
The next morning, business as usual. Rivington and Hallett are back in the Wall Street office. The dead financier has already been replaced by a new, quiet man. They're tapping their hands on the table, planning the next move.
The web outlived many spiders.
That's the line. The individuals don't matter. The structure endures. Luke Huber wasn't beaten by one person. He was crushed by the sheer weight and pervasiveness of compulsion itself. Law, politics, finance, faith, all just tools for the web.
His final enlightenment, his defiance. It was a personal victory maybe, but it cost him everything.
Everything. And the system he fought remained untouched, ready for the next idealist.
Which leaves us with a pretty stark question, doesn't it, for you listening? The triumvirate just replaced their lost member, the web kept spinning. If exposing a disaster like the North Bridge wreck, 25 people killed, with written proof of greedy negligence, if that can't break the web.
Right. And if fighting it requires what Luke went through, total personal, political, financial annihilation, ending in death, what does it actually take to create real systemic change?
What's the real cost? If you have to essentially become a bum, free only in your own self, as Luke did at the very end, what does that mean for everyone else still caught in the threads just trying to survive?
Yeah. What's the alternative? That's the uncomfortable legacy of Luke Huber's story.
Something to think about. Until next time, keep digging.